Welcome back. We are talking about true body transformation today, and I'm honored to have Adam Schaeuble with me from the Million Pound Mission. I love Adam. We have been powwowing back and forth on each other's shows and on Instagram lives, and now we're here on this Facebook Live, and I want to make sure that, hi Maureen, I want to make sure that you guys get your questions answered and that you really understand from both perspectives, male and female. Obviously, there's more than just male and female, but from, experts in the field, what is it that you want to know about true body transformation? And for those of you that didn't hear the podcast I did with Adam, I wanted to bring you live. Hey, Trina, thanks for joining. I'm so excited that you're here, and Maureen. So if you guys have any questions, please make sure you put them in the comment box so that we can answer them. Adam, welcome to the show.
JJ Flazanes. This is, you're one of my favorite people to go live with. I think we're a dynamic duo, and this is just going to be another chapter in our awesome live casting adventures.
Nice. I love your yellow glasses that you're wearing today.
These are my blue blockers. It helps me so I can go to sleep. It's like 8:01 my time, so it's like, normally I'm in bed by now.
Already? Yeah. Is it past bedtime already, Mr. Old Man?
Legit, it is. It is.
What time did you get up this morning?
3:45 a.m.
Okay, I can't swear on this. It's Facebook Live, but man, all right. Welcome, Chris, to the show. Thanks for joining us live here. And did you get up for your workout, or did you have a client at that time?
I teach a 5:30 a.m. boot camp class, so I got to get up, get a little food in me, and get there and set up. And same thing tomorrow. So I'll be up about 3:30, 3:45 tomorrow morning, and I'll be thinking of you, JJ.
And I will be not thinking of you when I'm sleeping in my bed.
Call you.
Actually, you know what? I'll be up. Well, it'll still be different. I have a 6:30 a.m. client tomorrow morning as well, but time change is going to make it so that I'll still be in bed by the time you start your class. So I'm loving having you here. I know that we've done 2 Instagram lives on your account before, and that was super fun. Unfortunately, we couldn't share the video, which is why I want to make sure we finally lock this down and had it so we can share it with more people, because I don't know how many people I could pull. 5 o'clock is a time here in California that people are finishing up work. I mean, it's easier for East Coast people, right? Because it's 8 o'clock, dinner's kind of over, and we're in the section where, they're driving or they're eating dinner. So this is not always the best time for people to see us live. So at least this way we can share it with people, the video. So tell everybody a little bit about, wrap your story up in a nice tight bow. I'm going to ask very specific questions to you that I think is important for people to know about your journey and about your story. But go ahead and give us a little version of your story.
Yeah, the mini version is I used to weigh 327 pounds. So on my podcast, I refer to myself as the PhD. I'm the previously heavy dude. And so I weighed 327. I was in a place where I was, out of shape. I was just kind of overwhelmed by life, like a lot of people are in their mid-20s. And I was in debt, depressed, unhappy with a lot of the direction that my life was taking. And I decided to make a change. And I don't know how deep you want to dive into the whole process that I went through with my rehabilitation statement and all that, but I basically just got my brain rewired around where I started focusing on positive things. And I had a process that I did every morning and every night where I would read. I mapped out my life. I wrote down what I wanted to achieve as if it had already happened. And I read it every morning and every night. And I did that for 5 years, and I accomplished every single goal, including, falling in love, getting married, starting a family, losing over 100 pounds, starting a business, helping other people get healthy. I helped my hometown lose 35,000 pounds in that 5-year time span. So all these amazing things happened just because I got plugged into some positivity and I got consistent with that positive message inside my brain, and I put that into action consistently. So like I said, I used to weigh 327. I've lost over 100 pounds. I've dramatically changed my life. Now I'm helping other people and run a Million Pound Mission to try to produce 1 million pounds of healthy results all across the world. And that's the tight bow version of my story.
Okay, cool. So if you haven't heard Adam on my show, one of the things that I learned when I interviewed him was that what kind of started this, correct me if I'm wrong, what started this whole process was you watching The Secret.
Yep.
Okay, law of attraction, people. And he had a process. Now, for those of you who don't know about Adam, Adam's also a Virgo. So Virgos work very well with processes and structure. While some of you I know who are on here right now don't do so well with structure. Everything works for different people in different ways. So I want to make sure that when you hear that this is what he did and you go, I don't know if I can do that, that we meld it in a way that makes sense for you. And for those of you that don't believe because you haven't done it, you get to see what happens when you have those kinds of results and when you have that kind of drive. So Adam, you've lost over 100 pounds. This has been for like a long time ago, right? This is.
Yep. I'm in my 10th year of keeping that weight off. So it's been a while. Yeah.
Okay. And let's go back just before The Secret and sort of like, and I know you hit rock bottom in a couple different areas. Hi, Courtney. Welcome. Oh, this is cool. New people are coming. So you hit sort of rock bottom in a couple different areas. You watched The Secret. You got supercharged. What I love about what you did is that you took 5 years. Do you know how many people, especially women and men too, but how many women go, I need to do this in 6 months, right? And then they get crazy and they think, well, how come it didn't happen? How come I didn't lose that? I have one of my clients who's on here right now, Maureen, she lost 100 pounds as well over the course of several years, only working out 2 days a week. And most people go into, I need to lose 100 pounds with, I need to work out 7 days a week for 2 hours every day. And if I don't stick to this plan, it's not going to work. And if I don't continue this plan, it's not going to stick after that. So what would you say? How did you know to make a 5-year plan that was realistic and not do a 6 months, I have to get to this one major goal?
I think in The Secret, they talk about it being a process. They talk about being, a lifelong journey. So I think that kind of was ingrained in my brain a little bit. I watched The Secret like 3 times through, and then I'm like, I'm mapping out my life for the next 5 years. And I felt like 10 was too long, but 5 years felt like I knew I needed a serious overhaul, JJ. I knew that like this wasn't like, this is just going to be a snappy little job and we're going to get everything turned right around. So I knew there was a lot of work that needed to be done. So 5 years felt like, it wasn't that far out there that it seemed like unattainable, but it was close enough to keep me where I knew I had to take some daily action. Right. So that felt comfortable for me. And I help people go through this process. Sometimes we set like a year goal or, a 2-year goal, but that's the key thing. What you hit on is that so many people get themselves into a place like I was, where I was overweight, in debt, unhealthy, and they just get into this constant mindset of I'm not there yet. And then we start beating ourselves up about that. And that's just a negative spiral that doesn't get us anywhere. Then we start comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, my friend lost 30 pounds in 4 weeks. Why? I only lost 20. And when we start doing the I only lost and why did they do this and I didn't do that much. And that's where we know those are signals that should be, alarm bells should be going off when we know that our mindset needs a little bit of a shift. We need to take some pressure off of ourselves and just chill out a little bit. So I think you're right in line with, with what you said earlier there, JJ.
Well, when we talked and I, learned you were Virgo, it kind of made sense to the structure piece, the masculine, and, those two pieces for you make a lot of sense. And I love now listening to it again, that you took 5 years to do that. I know a lot of people especially feel like if I don't see a major shift soon, then I'm going to be really frustrated. So I think it takes a lot of insight to understand that this is a process and it takes a little bit of time. So let's talk about that process for you. What advice would you have for people? My approach is the mind, body, soul approach that has to look at all parts of that. And what I loved that I didn't know before I interviewed you for the show was that secret piece, that law of attraction piece, which, right, for me, like that lights me up right there, because so many people just want to count calories and focus on exercise and don't realize that. And even as a Virgo for you, sometimes that you actually have to hit rock bottom. Like a lot of earth signs, unfortunately, like you have to hit that, like, because you're so stubborn and you're not going to move unless you manifest something that literally forces you to move. Like because it's like the contrast is so big that it propels you, right? Like you're so low, there's only one way to go. And there's so much momentum of negativity in all areas of life that really, like when you hit that thing, you bounce right back. And now you take it on at that same momentum level, hopefully in the opposite direction. So for people who have like done this before and have weight loss and maybe gained it back. And, I know one of the questions that I had on Instagram today for people that knew you were coming on with me was, how do you not, or what do you do when you revert back to old habits and patterns, or how do you not revert back to old habits and patterns? And while I have a million answers for that, this is about you. I want you to tell them what you've done in your 10 years of keeping up 100 pounds.
Yeah, I've got, a simple thought process, where, you know, this is the way I think about it. This is where I challenge other people to think about it. Think about your transformation like a long road, and you're at one end and your next goal is at that other end. And a lot of people, you know, they never get to that first goal. They do the thing where they lose 20 pounds and they gain it back, like you were saying. And there's a giant hole in the road. And what people do is they go and they walk and they are looking at the goal and they walk right into that hole. They fall in the hole, but then they decide to climb out and they go back to where they started and they grab a bike and then they ride their bike and they go in the same hole and they crawl out and they go get a car. They drive their car into the same hole. So we do this with our health and fitness, where we do Weight Watchers and then we stress eat at night and we crash and burn and go back to where we started. And we say, oh, Weight Watchers didn't work, so I'm going to do paleo. And then we stress eat at night. We crash and burn. We go back to where we started. Then I'm going to do, you know, whatever, keto. It doesn't matter. The modality doesn't matter if we never fix the hole in the road. And that's whether it's going on vacations and never getting back on track, stress eating, a stressful family situation, not feeling supported. You know, I feel like the thing that's kept me to where I don't regain my weight is I understand what, you know, if I think about my body like a business, I always understand what could put me out of business. I understand the roadblocks that I need to plan ahead for. And I understand that I need to learn that I won't be perfect. You know, I used to struggle with hitting a goal and then relaxing and falling back a little bit. But I got better at understanding that was a danger zone. I got better and better and better. Now it's not an issue anymore. So that's the way I coach people to not regain it and to get initial momentum, is that we have to look at the things. Like if you're somebody that's lost weight and regained it in several cycles, think about that. Don't think about the plan you were trying to use. Think about the hole in the road that you kept on falling into over and over and over again. And let's build a bridge over that first, and you'll get better results from anything else that you do. And then when you plug in things like positive thinking and, you know, all the other bells and whistles, then have a really good nutrition plan, have a really good fitness plan, then it's like rocket fuel for the transformation. But that hole in the road is the thing that I'm most concerned with. And that's why, you know, it's a little bit different. People want that. I mean, JJ, you've been around the fitness game long enough, like I have. People want that flashy new diet. They want that super secret exercise routine. And if, you know, we always fall victim to the same things that always mess us up, then we're always end up back in the same place. So that's my strategy for not gaining it back, is understanding what could potentially make us gain it back and prepare ahead for that. I always talk about you have to be able to identify, plan ahead for, and be able to analyze your danger zones. Those are the three key things. You have to identify them. You have to know the circumstances around it, and you have to be good at starting to plan ahead for those things. And if we can do that, we can kick some serious butt and really do some amazing things with our transformation.
Cool. Yeah, I have got some people. So Chris was saying, yes, that's me. Can you see the comments?
Yes.
She was saying, yep, that's me. I'm guessing that, Chris, you're talking about falling in the hole. And Maureen, she's saying life's journey isn't a straight line. She's had to deal with some, you know, deaths in the family and some, you know, change of job and things like that. And you know, what that's why my model has gone to sort of blow up and expand beyond, you know, talking about food and exercise as the only like entry point in, because like the hole in the road for me, for most people, is emotional. And it's always usually that people are addicted to food or addicted to some kind of something in order to numb their pain. You know, over the last 20 years of my personal training career, I definitely could say, I mean, that's why I've learned sort of what I've learned, is because, you know, I used to deal with people who just had a lot of injuries because I kind of knew what to do with them when other trainers didn't. But then after I had so many people with like 5, 6, 7 injuries, I realized the people with all these injuries, people that don't actually want to fix themselves, like they have the injuries for a reason. Yeah. They keep getting hurt, right? And they were kind of victims. And I thought, oh, I don't really like you. So I don't want, not that I can't help people who have injuries, but when you have 6 and 7 and you have no interest in fixing them yourself, you know, the addiction becomes the victimness. So for people that in the way of like always gaining the weight back because food is your drug, food is the way that you numb, I look at, like, I had to look underneath the hood of the car to say, okay, what is it really all about? What is it really all about? I mean, I have clients that have come to me here, I mean, for the last 20 years who want to lose weight. And if you ask them why, you know, most of it is really like, you dig down a little deeper. It's, I want to like myself, or I want to find a partner. And it's like, okay, law of attraction, basic number 1, if you have to be able to be there frequency wise, vibrationally, before you ever even get that thing. And the only reason you want the thing anyway is because you think you're going to feel better when you get there. But newsflash, you can feel better right now without even having it which means you don't even need it. Not that this isn't a good goal to be healthy and, you know, and get rid of excess weight, but don't prolong joy when you can try to figure out now where you're, you know, being happy with who you are now. So I think that for me, I've experienced a lot of the holes in the road for people are really just the addiction to numbing themselves, to being uncomfortable in emotion, and to being disconnected and self-abusive, which is why my last book is about body shame, because it doesn't matter. Even if you look at someone who you think looks amazing, their body is amazing. Like, oh, I wish I had her body or his body and I'd feel amazing and I'd never be unhappy again. Well, BS on that, because that person could be as addicted, as miserable and depressed, more so than you are. Just because it looks good on the outside does not mean it's functional or happy on the inside. What do you have to say about that?
100%. Yeah. I love how fired up you got. I love seeing JJ fired up. Give me some hearts if you like fired up JJ, because I sure do. That was awesome.
I don't think we can do hearts. Can we do hearts here?
I almost started doing like push-ups there for a second. I'm like, yeah, this is firing me up. No, I like the saying that Tony Robbins says, once you change your story that you're telling yourself, you can change your life. And that's exactly what you just said there. You know, we have to get out of our own head and quit putting so much pressure to be, you know, like I said earlier, you know, lose the weight in 2 workouts instead of, you know, it took us 20 years to put it on. It should be gone in 2 workouts, JJ. Why isn't this happening? And, you know, comparing ourselves to others, it's just the head game just screws us up so bad. And I feel like we have to flip the switch to learning, and let's learn the game of being healthy. Let's learn, you know, even I like 28-day cycles. I'm like, okay, for the next 28 days, let's follow a healthy eating nutrition plan. Let's get sweaty and let's just learn what that does to our body. And no pressure. We don't have to accomplish anything, but let's just see what that does. And if we lose 5 pounds, then guess what? We just learned how to lose 5 pounds, and let's duplicate that over the, and just start stacking the blocks, you know, instead of just pressure. And, you know, it's different. I don't know about you, JJ, but with dealing with men and versus women, the guys that I work with, like if I do a boot camp and have some sort of a competition, they're like all about it. It's like male ego rage happens, you know, and they're like, yes, I must win. But I stopped doing I used to have these competitions where everybody would like chip in money and then there was a prize, and the winner always gain 100% of the time. They gain their weight back because they were in it for the prize money, not in it to actually get healthy. You know, their motivation, their why wasn't about being healthy. It's about winning. And that's not, you know, once all the why nots start coming, that just blows it up. So yeah, the mental game, it's, if we can win the mental game, and we don't have to win it right away, but if we can just be conscious and mindful and present about winning the mental game and making, you know, each decision its own little battle, and we try to get good at making good decisions and build momentum from there. If we can do that, then anything's possible with the transformation game. That's where you see amazing things happen. You know, I just went and worked out with one of my friends in St. Louis. His name's Sean Mulroney. He started out at 700 pounds. He's lost 100 pounds. He's still in the 500 pounds, but his mindset is amazing. You know, the guy, he's leading he has his Instagram account's Obesity Revolution. You guys have to check it out. Just an amazing mindset where he talks about being mentally obese, you know, and he said once he got rid of his mental obesity, he was able to fix his physical obesity. And I was like, that is it. That's awesome. So you should have him on your show. You'd love Sean. I did an interview with him. Yeah. Tell
me over the course of the people that you've worked with, do you find, is there a difference? And if there is, what is it? And if there's not, between, let's say, people that have a larger goal versus people that have a smaller goal. So like say someone just wants to lose 10 or 15 pounds and someone wants to lose 100 pounds. Is it the same issues? Or are they different issues?
Well, I feel like, you know, somebody, like I've got a client that came in and she was on a weight loss journey. We did a consultation. We know she needed to lose over 100 pounds just to get to like healthy, you know, but that was the main goal, is like, what do we need to do to accomplish healthy? That's the first step. And she started talking about why she wanted to accomplish it. She started crying. And I knew instantly, I'm like, all right, she's going to make this happen, because if that emotional root is there, that connection is there, done deal. Because I know we can put in the work and make it happen. So those big goals, it's easier to find the emotional root for a lot of people. So that's the key with, you know, if you want to make it stick, if you have a smaller goal, like, I want to get in shape for spring break, or I want to get in shape. I had one of my favorites is I had a college guy that I was working with, and he's like, I was laying in bed with my girlfriend, and she was like, you know what? My arms are bigger than yours. And he's like, I must get my arms bigger than my girlfriend's. So there are different levels of the why. The key thing is that the why has to be bigger than all the why nots that you're going to be confronted with. And if it's not, then you're not going to hit your goal. And that's with any sort of goal setting, whether it's financial, relationship, health and transformation. The why just has to be bigger. Once those why nots start stacking up, I'm too busy, I don't feel good, I'm too tired, work is kicking my butt. Once all those things start stacking up, if that why is not big enough, it doesn't matter how big your goal is, it's not going to happen. So I feel like that's the key. I also feel like people tend to sit on their goals a little bit. I did an episode a few weeks ago about taking your goal and then building towards action, to where I feel like you need to have your goal, you need to have a why behind that goal. You need to have a why now behind your why. So if your goal is to drop 50 pounds and your why is, my doctor's going to put me on cholesterol meds. Well, what's the why now? Why now versus 6 months from now? And you have to determine that. And then we have to put it some sort of a habit-based goal in there. So my habit-based goal is going to be to work out 3 times a week, or drink 80 ounces of water every day, something that we can track every day. And then there needs to be a 24-hour action step. Like, when is this going to start? What's that thing that you can do to initiate the momentum? And I feel like that process, if that can be followed, that's kind of the way we can kickstart momentum, get those results rolling in. And once those happen, we get fired up. And, we all know that that's what it's all about.
And what for you has ever either, like, what's either slowed you down or no, take that back. I don't want to, because you're where you are. What would be like the biggest surprise that you had to overcome that you didn't know was even part of your process? And then you were like, oh, I have to deal with this. Okay. And I didn't even see that one coming, but wow, so glad that I did, because now it's easier to sustain.
I think with me and with other people that are on more of a weight loss journey, I have this concept that I call the transformation timeline. There's 3 phases. The first one is the coachability phase, where you have to be willing to give up your ego and be coached by somebody else. The second phase is what I call the healthy lifestyle balance. So that's where we start that's where people I know you've probably never heard this before. People are like, I can't maintain this, JJ. I can't handle this.
Never. I've never, ever heard that.
So that second phase is where we start to find that balance. We get out of balance because we have to shift momentum. We're focusing on our health, and then we start to rebalance it and make it a nice, healthy lifestyle balance. The third phase is what I call new purpose, new identity. And this is the thing that really surprised me about myself and about other people, is that eventually we run out of weight to lose. Like, that's it. I've run out of real estate. Now who am I? That was a big aha moment. I'm like, okay. And then some people get, like you said, get addicted to that, where they regain and they're really comfortable being that person that's kind of battling the weight loss issue, and they regain, they lose again, they regain, they lose again. So the non-scale victory is huge. Getting into things like strength training, getting yourself outside of your comfort zone. If you set a goal of, I want to be able to do a pull-up, and your first thought is, man, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to do that. Perfect. That's a great goal. That's what we're going to go for. I've got a client that's in her 60s, and she was like, is it possible for a 60-year-old to do a pull-up? I'm like, let's find out. Let's figure this out. I think it totally is. And now that's what we're building towards, but it's getting her up out of bed and getting her into the gym on a consistent basis. And that's the type of goal that you need to set when you're in that new purpose, new identity phase. I've got a lot of my weight loss clients that turn from the weight loss person to the I'm doing obstacle course race person, and that scares the hell out of them. They're like, this is scary. I'm scared of heights. I used to be great big. Bigger people don't get up on towers and go off slides into mud pits and stuff like that. That's just not something that they experience, especially if they've been bigger their entire life. So it's outside of their comfort zone, but that's exactly what you need. And you need to start grabbing onto those things along your weight loss journey, so that you're not just left stranded in that new purpose, new identity phase going, who am I now? What's going to get me out of bed and get me into the gym? So that was something that really, I didn't expect that to happen, because I felt like, oh, we hit the goal and then we're psyched about hitting the goal. But then we're like, what's the next goal? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, I think too often though, and correct me if I'm wrong, ladies who are still with me here that I know very well. I think a lot of people get wrapped up in the identity that I'm always going to yo-yo diet and I'm always going to be that person. And there's a belief that, well, that's just what I do. I haven't been able to succeed. I'm just going to have to live with it. And again, it's that giving up of the pie in the sky, and that like I'm not able to get there. And I don't know if you find this more with women or with men. You know, for me, what's really what gets me fired up is to have sort of that surface level conversation with people that they're like, well, I really just need to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, why? Oh, because this and this. Well, why? Like I go that 5 why deep.
Yeah.
And is it like what do you want? Because again, I'm like law of attraction is just my life. So you want, okay, let me just say this for those of you that don't know this phrase so that you really hear this. The only reason you want what you want, the only reason you want what you want is because you think you'll feel better when you have it. And you have to feel better now to get it and to maintain it. If you can't see, you can't visualize, you can't believe. If you don't believe it's possible, then you hurt yourself every step of the way because it's that carrot that's constantly out in front of you that you're like, I'm trying to get to the happiness. I'm trying to get to the happiness. And then what happens is you're addicted to food. You don't want to deal with your emotions and you go, oh, chocolate cake. I'll be happy now. I'm going to get and by the way, I love chocolate cake. And I'm all about supporting people eating a keto version of a gluten-free and dairy-free chocolate cake, which if I made it for you, you would think it's amazing and wonderful and you wouldn't even know it was anything healthy. So,
Nice.
so it's about replacement versus restriction. And I think, for me, besides the huge psychological piece that I have like really been diving into for the last 15 years, I also find that they're, based on, and I work in a medical clinic facility, I know about the endocrine system. Like, so there's some food sensitivities and neurotransmitter issues. So we've got all the science pieces, but then we have the psychological pieces. Do you find, and that's where like my last book had to kind of come together to address all of it, because there are hard and fast things about science. There are foods that will keep you having cravings. Yep. There are foods that will keep you constipated. There are foods that will increase your insulin and age you faster. There are inefficiencies in exercise. There is, most women are doing cardio, only cardio, and not even high intensity or interval training cardio, just cardio. And not that that's so bad, but if that's all you're ever going to do, you're going to plateau so fast, you're never going to build your metabolism. So we're looking at, people who are just doing the wrong things scientifically. What do you think the balance is for your people that come in who need help? Are they people that are just sort of doing the wrong things, or are they people that are mentally challenged with the whole goal setting and the whole, like, can I believe that I can do this? Which do you think is for you?
What I find is that the average person is willing to work, and they want to be healthy. They want to have, they want to increase their self-confidence. Like they want it and they're willing to put in some work, but we're so beat up by the process. Like you said, just kind of going around and around the yo-yo dieting. I call it the black hole of fitness doom, where if you guys imagine a circle, the top of the circle is we start something new, then we gain some momentum, and then life happens, and then we crash and burn and go back to where we started. And every cycle through, we burn through, time, energy, money. But the worst parts are we lose hope, we lose willpower. Every time you go through, you're like, oh, I remember how hard it was the last time I lost 30 pounds. This is going to suck. And you start to think, like you said, people will start to feel like, oh, I'm just like this. I'm the person that can't lose weight. There's something wrong with me. Why can't I do this? And beat up. The mental negative self-talk starts happening. So I feel like where I come in as a coach, I really try to paint the picture, and just describing the black hole of fitness doing to people. So many people they assume that is what weight loss looks like. And that's what the transformation journey looks like. And that's the hole in the road. I mean, that is the hole in the road. And they don't realize there's something past that. So I say, okay, this is what's happening. What's that life happens moment? Let's fix that. And then we break free of this and we move down that transformation timeline, and we can move into things like figuring out how to get balance between our health and our lifestyle. And they're like, what? Mind blown. Like, I can escape this thing. And so, like I said, I feel like people are willing to work. They just need to understand where they're at and why it's not working, and once we get that, but then we have to exit our own head, like we've both been talking about. We have to get out of our own head, take some damn pressure off of ourselves, and realize that this is going to be a process. And, if a boulder is rolling down a mountain at you, you can't just punch it and it bounces and starts going back up the hill. you have to absorb the negative momentum and shift momentum to push it back up. And that takes work. So if your life is that boulder rolling downhill, it's going to take some energy and some time to absorb that impact. And then it's going to take some help to push it back up the hill. And that's where, coaches come in, friends, accountability groups, programs, gyms, all that stuff. That's where you have to tag in and get what I refer to as accountability anchor points. I like establishing accountability in all the major areas of your life: work, home, gym, family. If you have like circle of friends, church groups, things like that, and set up things like, okay, every Wednesday we're going to walk together, or every Sunday as family meal prep, something that you're expecting other people to participate in. They're expecting you to be there. And it's a positive thing, a positive support group. And we start establishing those, and that's how we climb that mountain together. So I feel like I said, once we can understand what the process looks like, then we can put in hard work. Because I really believe that deep down in all of our hearts, we're willing to put in hard work. We're just intimidated by the process, and we're intimidated by the fact that we've been through this more than once and it's beaten us up. And once we can get past that and realize that it is possible, there is hope, then that's when we can rock and roll.
So your experience, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is having accountability for people to get to their goals and to maintain them?
I wish I should have looked it up. There's a quote that says, what is held accountable? No. What is written down? It's something about, okay, now I'm totally screwing it up. It's something about setting goals. And if you write it down, then the percentage goes up. But if you write it down and you're held accountable to that, it's like unbelievably the percentage of you actually achieving that skyrockets. So it sounds much better from the actual person that I wanted to quote, but
no, it's fine. No, stumbling upon it makes it at least like people will remember it because they're trying to follow. What is he saying? So don't worry.
What is he saying? Yeah. So that's the key thing, is that we have a goal, but if we're held accountable to that, the percentage of us actually, like, if we put it out there, like with my lifestyle rehabilitation statement that I read every morning, every night, it didn't matter who was around. I read it every morning and every night. So other people were hearing me do this and like announcing how I was feeling and all this stuff. And, a good percentage of my friends thought I was crazy. I had affirmations, JJ. I don't know if I told you this. I taped affirmations like everywhere. I had 2 roommates. I had them all over my refrigerators, mirrors, my car. I'm trying to go out on dates with affirmations.
That would be great. Are you kidding me? Women love that. Look, men that are positive thinkers. I love it.
I think they thought I was a serial killer is what it was. It was no, but I mean, I was way over the top with my affirmations. But that was, that's just the way I was. It was out there and people knew that I was on a path to change my life. And it didn't really matter what anybody else thought to me. I was like, okay, I just have to put this energy out there. And once you get to that point where you don't care, then I feel like you're onto something. When you're willing to publicly embarrass yourself to hit your goals and you don't care what anybody else thinks, then you've got some good goals that are gonna keep you fired up.
So one last question about what is your response? Because I love, like, in the 20 years, like every now every like 4 to 6 months, I come up with something new. Like someone asks me a direct question in a different way, and I answer it so precisely that I'm like, why haven't I been saying that for 20 years? Because it's like life has led me to this place where I'm like super clear. So what do you say for people that say, oh yeah, I can do it on my own, I don't really need any help, or I don't want, I'm really frustrated, can you just tell me what to do? And or it doesn't really work, I've tried it before. What do you tell people? Well,
along those lines, I have people that email me all the time that they'll start a boot camp or something, like one of my programs, and I am like, everything that I put out there, there's some form of accountability. There's an accountability component where they have to report into a coach, me, a Facebook group, something. There's always accountability. And they will email me. This is like the I'm going to quit email. And they'll be like, Adam, I need to be accountable to myself before I can be accountable to anyone else. And I'm like, you're exactly wrong. Like this, like if you're going to learn Spanish, if you're going to learn a foreign language, it's not like you can just like, you can go online and do all this, but you need a course. You need an instructor. You need information from someone else outside of you. You're not going to spontaneously just learn Spanish, know, but people think they can do that. And it's so much harder when we're dealing with bad habits and unlearning all these bad habits, relearning good habits. like it takes a coach, it takes a program, it takes that external force to be acted upon us to change and shift our momentum. And that whole, I need to be accountable to myself. Self-accountability comes down the road. But I've got coaches, you know, I've got a guy that has lost 90 pounds with me that has weighed in and checked in with me every 2 weeks for like 8 years, you know, never misses one. And I'm like, he's self-accountable, but that's part of his self-accountability is he shows up and he's still, you know, and when he runs into a trouble point and needs a little bit of help, he asks for help. Ego gone. You know, he realizes the formula works. So that's when we have to check the ego at the door and realize that, you know, the accountability is the key and you need help from somebody else. And that's the fastest way to accomplish anything. Find an expert like JJ, go out to her event that's coming up and learn from her and her crew that's coming out to sunny and lovely California, which is much nicer than Indiana.
Okay. So yes, of course, I'm gonna talk about the event, but let's talk about when people go, I really like Adam and I want to work with Adam. So how can they work with Adam?
Just go to millionpoundmission.com and that's a good place to start. That's where my podcast is. I'm working on some cool new stuff. People are really getting into the black hole of fitness doom, escaping that. So I'm coming up with some new programs that you can come to me and work with me no matter what nutrition program you want to follow, no matter what exercise regimen you want to follow. We're going to focus on escaping the black hole of fitness doom and moving forward down that transformation timeline and just put it, you know, figuring out what your danger zones are to really establish that momentum. So I got a few new things cooking with that, but if you plug in at millionpoundmission.com, that's the place to hang out and see what I come up with next. Cause I'm like JJ, I'm always full of ideas.
Nice. And yeah, and if you're kind of ready now, in about a month from now, we're going to be gathering a bunch of people with a bunch of experts doing exercise, meditation, eating really clean foods, both for meat eaters as well as vegans, and doing the work, doing that uncovering sort of what is that thing that keeps stopping you, you know, in both relationships as well as body transformation. Jeannie Peters is going to be talking about hormones and foods and vitality and energy. So we're going to get a very, you're going to know what stops you on the hormonal level, on the nutrition level, and I'm going to help you with the exercise piece. And then we've got all that emotional stuff, because I feel like people who really want change you have to come and kind of peel back the onion. And we get so into our like lives that we don't know how to integrate things. Like we do one little thing and we go, yeah, that works. But then how does that mix with this thing? And how do I, and again, sort of that piece of the connection of, do you have an addiction? If you have an addiction to food and you don't deal with your emotions, I don't care what program you're on, you're eventually going to fall down, because your habit and pattern is to use food to suppress your feelings. Yeah. We have to deal with that at some point in time if you're going to be successful long term. And if you keep turning to food, then you're always going to have, anytime you're triggered, something's going to happen to you. So I've been doing some specials kind of on these little Facebook shows that I'm doing. So the special I'm going to give this week is that for anyone who signs up for the event this week and lets me know that you signed up for the event by watching Adam and I will give you a free consultation valued at $300. So that'll be one-on-one with me. I'll throw in a one-on-one with me that we can do either before the event or right after the event to take whatever you've learned or what we're going to work on at that point, and whatever we need to tweak or look at or uncover before to make you the most successful during that time frame. I'm happy to do so. So free consultation with me for an hour, one-on-one, either in person, Skype, or on the phone. If you see this and tell me that you saw Adam and I on Facebook Live. So
yes. Now at the event, you guys are doing some financial stuff too, right?
We're adding money too.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, I was $40,000 in credit card debt when I was 327 pounds, and all that financial stress. You think that added to my negativity and all my overeating and things like that? Hell yeah. So I love how well-rounded your event is. It's not just here's the mega super diet thing. It's like, so you go deep beyond that, like way deeper. And the relationship piece, like if you're in a bad marriage, you're in a bad relationship, you think you're eating to feel better. Of course you are, right? So if we can't take one piece out, try to fix this, ignore everything else that supplies this with emotion. That's the whole point of the integration. And that's kind of why I've decided that it's time to bring people together to do the whole freaking thing. Okay. The whole freaking thing. We're into the whole freaking thing.
Yeah. So millionpoundmission.com. Adam also has a podcast for those of you that are watching this who are podcast people and listen to podcasts. So millionpoundmission.com. In fact, go back into my shows. He's been on the show. I've not repurposed my show from you yet, but I'm going to probably closer to the event because I know that we had a really good conversation on your show. Yeah. So anyway, check out Adam. And this is not the last conversation. It's just the first one you're probably all going to see if you weren't on Instagram. So we're to keep it coming. Yeah. Instagram is, you can't save them on Instagram. It's like Instagram is making it tough. But now I'm glad we made this happen on Facebook, and it'll be here forever for everyone to see. And they'll be like, look how smart JJ is, and look at Adam's dumb yellow glasses. I love your yellow glasses. I think I need to invest in. Maybe I'll have them be a sponsor. People I like that it has you kind of calm down. I'm gonna look at will you send me the information on them? Yeah, these, trade secret, these are like $20 on Amazon. So. Okay. Well, all right, great. I think anything that helps people calm down and come down and decompress before they go to bed. And by the way, no electronics before bed. But anyway, it's another conversation. So we'll come back. We'll reconvene. But millionpoundmission.com, jjflazanes.com/next big step. Don't forget about the bonus I offered. It will be good for 1 week. It will be gone on August 20th. So get on that if you're interested. And hopefully I'll see you, or Adam will speak to you. One of us will be helping you get to your next big step in your true body transformation. Have a good night, everyone. Bye. Hey, everybody.